As Monica Johnson stepped through the glass doors of the Waldorf Chicago, every detail about her said she belonged there. The cut of her navy blue suit was sharp enough to catch the eye of anyone passing by, and her stride was steady, practiced. She had been in hotels like this all over the country, from New York to Los Angeles, but even now, she could feel the weight of a dozen glances as she crossed the lobby. The marble floors echoed under her heels, and the soft jazz playing overhead did little to break the tension she sensed in the air. At the front desk, a man named Bradley looked up, his polite half-smile fading slightly as he took her in. His glance dropped from her face to her shoes, then to the Centurion card she handed over for the reservation. He barely looked at the computer before letting out an exaggerated sigh and muttering, "That card is probably maxed out, huh?" Loud enough for the people in line behind Monica to hear. All conversation in the lobby seemed to pause, curious eyes lingering on Monica and Bradley. Monica didn't react right away. She just stood still, calm and composed, the insult hanging between them, knowing this was about much more than a reservation or a credit card. Bradley, completely unaware of who stands before him, has no idea that Monica Johnson isn't just another guest with a fancy card. She is the CEO of Continental Partners, a powerhouse investment firm with deep ties across Wall Street and beyond. At that very moment, Continental Partners is in the middle of intense negotiations over a deal worth nearly $3 billion with Stanton Holdings, which owns the very hotel she's trying to check into. Monica's firm is known for paying close attention to the values and practices of the businesses they invest in, and small details often change the course of multi-billion-dollar decisions. Standing at the counter, Monica keeps her face composed. Inside, she recognizes instantly that what's happening isn't just about one disrespectful man behind a desk. It's about a pattern she's seen far too often. Some people might shout, argue, or demand to see a manager. Monica opts for another route. She opens the Notes app on her phone and discreetly records the exchange with a tap, capturing every dismissive word and look. The other guests watch, expecting some dramatic fallout, but Monica simply smiles and continues with the check-in process. She is already moving pieces on a much bigger board, knowing that this moment could spark consequences that reach well beyond these marble floors. After a few tense minutes, Bradley taps furiously at the keyboard, making a show of searching for Monica's suite reservation. Finally, he looks up, a smug look on his face as if he's won surprise. "Unfortunately, Ms. Johnson, it looks like your upgrade wasn't approved after all. The only available room we have for you is a standard king on the 6th floor," he announces, just loud enough for a couple standing nearby to glance over with raised eyebrows. Then, almost as an afterthought, he adds, "Maybe there was a problem with the card." These things happen sometimes, giving her card a little unnecessary wave before sliding it back across the counter. Monica notices the satisfied tone, the subtle jab meant to chip away at her dignity, but she doesn't let it crack her calm. She offers a simple nod, accepting the key without complaint or visible disappointment. Every eye on the lobby seems to follow her as she collects her suitcase and heads for the elevator, her heels clicking sharply against the marble. Each echo is a reminder to herself. She has seen this before, and she won't let it slide. Instead of arguing or making a scene, Monica internally commits to documenting every moment, determined to bring the hotel's double standards to light in a way that will matter far beyond this one stay. Monica slides the key card into the slot and steps into the small, impersonal room, dropping her bag just inside the door. She doesn't pause to unpack or look out the window. Instead, she moves straight to the desk, pulling out her laptop, notebook, and a slim folder tucked into her bag. The hum of the air conditioner is the only sound as she powers up her computer and starts typing, her fingers moving with practiced speed. She logs every detail from the lobby, Bradley's exact words, the body language of the staff and guests, the timestamp from the security camera over the front desk. This isn't guesswork or revenge. Monica is carrying out the last test in a months-long investigation her firm, Continental Partners, has quietly led at several Stanton Holdings hotels across the United States. The spreadsheet on her screen lists 43 past incidents in cities from Boston to San Francisco, all with similar signs of bias targeting Black executives, travelers, and even employees trying to advance in the company. Monica's notes from today fit right in, line by line. When she finishes, she uploads the files to her secure company drive. Her actions tonight aren't about personal satisfaction. They're about building proof, creating a record that no corporate apology can erase. When Continental Partners announces their decision soon, the evidence will leave no room for doubt. On Monday morning, Monica wakes before sunrise, steeling herself for another round of quiet observation. She swaps her usual tailored suits for sneakers and jeans, slipping a simple sweater over her head. No jewelry, nothing designer, just the look of any regular traveler. Her goal is clear: to see if her treatment changes when she doesn't fit the mold of a high-flying executive. Her first stop is the breakfast lounge. She presents a room key and executive package voucher, only to be told that access to the VIP breakfast is reserved for premium guests. The staff member barely glances at her paperwork before suggesting she try the main buffet, which is crowded and noisy. Monica leaves without arguing, jotting down each detail in her phone. Next, she heads to the fitness center. At the gym entrance, a young staffer studies her credentials and questions their validity, making a show of double-checking the list while several white guests stroll past unbothered. Throughout the morning, it's the same story. The concierge whispers a remark when she walks by about another PR stunt. In the dining room, the host guides her to a table by the kitchen, ignoring open seats by the window. Even security stops her in the hall, examining her room key extra carefully. Every small slight adds another line to Monica's growing file of evidence. As the day winds down, Monica returns to her room carrying little more than her phone, which now holds a collection of short videos and voice memos. She plugs her laptop in at the small desk, scanning through each clip and note to ensure nothing is missed. The footage from her hidden camera captures things the naked eye might gloss over. The careful way an attendant checks her ID, the slight hesitation before swiping her card, the forced politeness masking suspicion. Each audio file has crisp timestamps, every detail neatly logged along with facts. Names, departments, how long she was made to wait compared to other guests. She takes all the files and uploads them to Continental Partners' secure server, adding them to the growing digital archive of similar incidents collected from other properties. With her spreadsheet open, she sorts entries by category: denied access, hostile behavior, unnecessary verification, public embarrassment. She attaches clips to each violation, linking actions to faces and words. It's not about hunting for small mistakes, but tracking a pattern, one that repeats far too often to be casual or accidental. In her mind, this is not about her pride, but the clear, measured exposure of a company's deep culture problem, one that quietly hurts real people every single day. On her last day in New York, Monica smooths the lapels of her navy suit and strides into the lobby with her head high, a flash of confidence in every step. The morning rush hums around her, but as she makes her way to the front desk, it feels as if the whole room slows down, eyes drawn to her sharp presence. Bradley barely glances up at first, still operating with the same dismissive tone as before, his smile practiced and hollow. Monica waits patiently, then speaks in a clear, even voice. "I want to discuss a few details regarding my stay." She begins, her words measured and purposeful. Without anger, she lays out each event. The unexplained downgrade, despite her confirmed suite reservation. The rejection of the VIP breakfast, the gym scrutiny, and the repeated doubts about her right to be in the hotel's best spaces. She's calm and specific, giving dates, names, even quoting exact phrases from staff, all while looking Bradley straight in the eye. A hush spreads through the lobby as Monica slides her business card across the counter. Senior Director of Global Equity Compliance, Continental Partners. Bradley's expression shifts quickly from bored to pale and nervous. In that instant, it is clear to everyone that this was never just another hotel guest, but the very decision-maker who holds Stanton Holdings' multi-billion-dollar future in her hands. Almost as soon as Monica's card lands on the counter, the atmosphere in the lobby changes from tense to frantic. Bradley barely has time to stammer an apology before the hotel's internal phone starts lighting up with calls. The general manager hustles out from the back office, trying to manage the situation with forced smiles, but word is spreading. A few guests who are lingering nearby start whispering into their phones, their cameras angled toward the front desk. Within minutes, short video clips of the exchange are making the rounds on social media, with captions naming Monica Johnson and calling out Stanton Holdings for their treatment of guests of color. Upstairs, Bradley is quickly called to the executive suite. He walks past colleagues who avoid his eyes, aware that his days at Stanton Holdings are likely over. Downstairs, staff try to act normal as more guests begin to ask questions, referencing the incident they just saw on their phones. In a glass tower across town, leaders at Stanton Holdings scramble into meetings as the news lands in their email inboxes. Continental Partners has withdrawn completely, and the company faces both a massive financial blow and a wave of public relations fallout. The damage isn't just about one visit or one person. It's about a culture that has finally been exposed, and there's no spinning it away this time. By the next morning, Monica's confrontation at Stanton Plaza is all over the internet. A short video, just 43 seconds long, captures her steady voice and the way Bradley's confidence melts away with every word. People all over the country are sharing it. Some see their own stories in Monica's calm, unwavering approach. Others are shocked, finally understanding what polite discrimination means, how it can look like friendly smiles and checklist rules, but still sends a clear message about who does and doesn't belong. The hashtags pile up fast. Hashtag know her name. Hashtag black card power. Hashtag check the name first. On Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, the conversation isn't just about Stanton Holdings or even hotels. People talk about experiences in boardrooms, stores, restaurants, and country clubs where the rules seem fair on paper but hit differently if you look a certain way. Monica becomes a symbol, not because she raised her voice, but because she did not have to. She simply told the truth, and the world listened. Major news networks from CNN to the New York Times run stories, digging into how corporations handle, and often ignore, these patterns. What started as an ordinary business trip is now a wake-up call that even the most refined settings are overdue for real change. Just 2 days after video goes viral, the shockwaves hit Stanton Holdings hard. Their stock loses more than 1/4 of its value, wiping out billions in just 48 hours. Investors don't wait for official statements. They scramble to dump shares, not wanting any tie to a company at the center of a national scandal. Partner hotels quickly pull back, worried their own reputations could be dragged down too. A major airline from Chicago ends its package deals with Stanton's resorts, and even as far as London, a financial firm quietly backs out a $600 million deal that was almost finalized. The trouble spreads fast inside Stanton Holdings' glass-walled headquarters in New York. Instead of prepping for expansion, leaders huddle in tense meetings, pointing fingers and dodging questions about who saw what and when. Executives who shrugged off old complaints about Bradley suddenly find themselves suspended pending review. Even Evelyn Matthews, the regional director who waved off multiple written reports about Bradley's habit of targeting certain guests, is out by lunchtime. Then someone leaks a resignation email from the North American Ops director, and it lands online for everyone to read. The email lays out years of internal warnings and almost no real action. For everyone watching, it's clear the company's troubles run much deeper than one front desk. Pretty soon, the shock from Stanton Holdings' collapse is felt way beyond New York. Across the United States, hotel giants like Hilton and Marriott call emergency meetings, each trying to figure out how to keep their names off the front page for the wrong reasons. In quick order, over 40 national chains roll out promises to look deep into their own practices. Suddenly, ethics audits are everywhere, and consultants, smelling opportunity, introduce new programs with catchy names. McKinsey jumps in with its ethical hospitality audit. Staff quietly start calling it the Monica Johnson standard, and hotels scramble to sign up before guests start asking awkward questions. On the ground, changes come fast. Hiring managers switch to anonymous applications, so last names and photos cannot give away a candidate's background. Employees log into bias training simulations that feel a bit strange at first, but spark real conversations in break rooms and morning staff huddles. At the front desk, a new button on the survey kiosk lets guests flag subtle discrimination without having to explain themselves out loud. Even the world of higher education takes note. Business schools at Harvard and Stanford add the Stanton Plaza story to their first-year leadership classes. Professors tell students that sometimes the big lesson isn't found in the CEO's office, but at the reception counter, where one moment of unfairness can start a chain reaction that reaches every corner of an industry. As Monica's story spreads and the industry scrambles to clean up its act, Bradley's life takes a nosedive. Within just a few days, his face is everywhere online, tied to headlines about biased treatment and toxic customer service. At first, Bradley tries to fight back, posting long explanations on social media, insisting that he only followed the hotel's rules and policies. But with the video showing him smirking, nodding along while belittling Monica, no one buys his story. It is not just the hotel letting him go. Other companies across the country make it clear that they will not even consider his applications. Friends and family distance themselves, not want to get caught up in the storm or answer awkward questions about what he had done. Desperate for a fresh start, Bradley moves to a quiet place on the outskirts of Asheville, North Carolina. He changes his name, chops his hair short, and tries blending in where no one recognizes him. But life feels empty here. There are no more uniforms, no more chances to flash his badge and decide who is welcome and who is not. Even simple conversations at the grocery store leave him anxious, convinced people are judging him. The truth is, what stings most is not regret, but realizing that the little bit of power he had counted for nothing once the world started paying attention. In a time when anyone can record and share what happens in a blink, Bradley learns the hard way that actions really can follow you forever. As the screens and headlines fill with speculation and debate, Monica keeps her head down and avoids the noise. Her inbox is soon overflowing with invitations from morning shows, requests from big-name interviewers, and lucrative offers to write a memoir. Publishers promise six-figure advances. PR agencies suggest speaking tours. Yet, Monica just quietly deletes the messages and goes back to her routine at Continental Partners, taking meetings, sending emails, and getting things done the way she always has. Around her, co-workers carry a new sense of pride, but Monica refuses to act like she's a celebrity. She knows the most important part of her story already happened in that lobby, with no camera she invited and not a single raised voice. A month after the video, a journalist from the Wall Street Journal manages to reach her and asks why she is not taking the spotlight. Monica types out a simple response and hits send. "I don't need to speak. They have already exposed themselves." Her words quickly go viral, printed on posters and shared by young Black professionals across the country. In boardrooms and resumes, people start to reference Monica's calm confidence, recognizing that sometimes the best way to make a point is to simply hold your ground and let the truth speak for itself. As the conversation grows past Monica's quiet strength, more people begin to see the connections between her moment in the lobby and the countless little hurdles that keep showing up in supposedly open, high-end spaces. Stories pour out online from lawyers, doctors, tech executives, even sports stars, each describing how they were turned away at luxury clothing stores or asked to show 3 kinds of ID at private banks. In many of these stories, no one ever uttered an outright refusal, but the message came through loud and clear. Sometimes it would be a manager double-checking a reservation or a hostess hinting that maybe you'd be more comfortable elsewhere. For the first time in a long while, people see a pattern, not just a string of bad luck. Monica's choice to document her own experience by keeping calm, presenting a card, and waiting for the response turns out to be the key. There is nothing left for anyone to dismiss as a misunderstanding or to explain away as a rare slip-up. Her footage captures the perfect moment, a system doing exactly what it was meant to do, hoping no one would notice. Now, with evidence in hand, People across the United States recognize that these barriers are rarely accidental and often baked into how elite environments manage who feels welcome and who does not. Monica's encounter cracks open the door for others to name the problem, calling it what it really is and demand better. Moving deeper into the aftermath, the ripple effect from Monica's experience reaches the boardrooms and investment committees at Continental Partners. The company's leadership realizes that if a top executive can be singled out in such a public way, it is not just a reputational issue. It is also a huge financial risk. Immediately after pulling out of the $2.8 billion deal with Stanton Holdings, Continental brings in new advisors and rewrites their process for choosing business partners. From now on, every potential investment goes through a set of checks, not only for profit numbers or growth forecasts, but also for how people are treated on the ground. Word spreads quickly. Other private equity firms and venture funds are not far behind, worry they will fall behind if they do not keep up. Within a few months, all the big names in finance, Goldman Sachs, Carlyle, Blackstone, roll out their own social integrity audits. These look at everything from staff diversity to complaint logs and even anonymous guest feedback. In conversations with CEOs, questions about ethical track records matter just as much as questions about earnings. For companies looking for funding, it becomes clear that treating every customer with fairness and respect is no longer just a slogan, but a condition for survival. Billions of dollars now move according to these rules. Firms that embrace inclusion see their value climb, while those that ignore the changes watch their offers and reputations dry up. 6 months roll by, and the Ritz-Carlton in Atlanta barely resembles the place where Monica's story first exploded into public view. The marble floors and polished brass fixtures are the same as ever, but the staff and the way they handle guests have changed in ways that really matter. A new general manager, Nicole Evans, steps in. She brings a different energy, insisting that every employee, from the doorman to the executives upstairs, take part in monthly bias awareness workshops. It is not just a one-time box to check. The hotel starts partnering with local colleges to bring in a more diverse group of interns and entry-level staff, building new pipelines for young professionals who otherwise would not have set foot in a place like this. There's a new system for collecting guest feedback, too. Now, anyone staying at the hotel can submit anonymous reports through their phones, and every complaint triggers an automatic review by a third party. Employees know that even quiet acts of disrespect will be taken seriously and could mean the end of their job. What really surprises people is how quickly this new approach spreads to the rest of the Marriott Group's properties across the United States. Instead of slow, quiet change, every location rolls out the same rules and systems. For years, frustrated guests had written reviews and sent letters that never seemed to make a difference. But one calm stand in a lobby managed to flip the script and force a real shift. 12 months after Monica's calm stand in the Atlanta Ritz-Carlton, her influence keeps spreading. This time it is not just hotels or fancy restaurants feeling the ripple. Big department stores on Michigan Avenue in Chicago, major hospital networks in Texas, and private banks in New York all start facing hard questions about how their staff treat people who walk through their doors. Internal training decks across the country now include Monica's method. Document what happens, stay composed, and quietly demand accountability from those in power. Instead of posting angry videos or leading marches, professionals in all kinds of fields begin keeping careful records of their experiences, confident that data will speak louder than shouting matches ever could. At colleges from Howard University to the University of Southern California, more and more young women, especially women of color, talk about Monica's approach in discussion groups and classrooms. They're not just inspired by her business achievements, but by the way she turned her everyday job into a way to challenge old, unfair systems. The internship program at Continental Partners cannot keep up with the demand. Hundreds mention Monica by name, eager to learn how to make real change without resorting to heated arguments. The buzzword among applicants is dignity, not just in fighting for yourself, but in making room for others to follow. Through her quiet example, Monica has shown a whole generation that you do not have to be loud to be powerful. For so many people following Monica's story on Instagram, Twitter, or through news clips, the aftermath hits a nerve that goes far beyond hotel lobbies and business deals. Over and over, folks post about moments in their own lives where they walked into a bank or a fancy office or a car dealership, and then walked right back out, wondering if they had just imagined the cold stare or the sudden policy change. Seeing Monica handle a similar situation so calmly and with her phone quietly recording was a powerful kind of wake-up call. It felt like proof that these things are not just in someone's head. They are real, and they add up, even if no one yells or slams doors. Therapists all over the United States start to notice changes in their sessions. Clients tell stories about finally confronting memories where they used to blame themselves, wondering if maybe they really did look out of place or somehow deserve skepticism. Monica's video becomes a shorthand. People say, it was just like that Atlanta lobby video, and suddenly there's a common language. People begin to process their stories differently, with more self-respect and less doubt. For some, seeing the video is honestly the first time they feel confident defending their right to expect fair treatment anywhere. Monica's moment helps shift not just policies, but also the way a whole generation sees and believes in their own worth. The deeper meaning behind Monica's actions comes through in everything she chose not to do that afternoon in the Atlanta Ritz-Carlton. She could have raised her voice, called for a manager, or put on a big show in front of everyone watching in the lobby. Instead, she kept her tone even and her movements measured. She did not try to pull rank, ask for some special favor, or make demands on the spot. All she did was stand there, phone subtly recording, taking note of every awkward glance, every unnecessary request, every delay. When she finally placed her business card on the counter, it was not a move for attention. It was a quiet show of both authority and calm, a way of saying, I see what's happening, and I will not look away from it. People all over the United States, and soon in other countries, pick up on this new way of responding. The card itself takes on a life outside of social media. People start carrying their own, ready not just to introduce themselves, but to make a statement without making a scene. Monica's example sends a message that real change comes from persistence and clarity, not from anger or public spectacle. It proves you can hold the line and keep your dignity, and that when you use the system's own rules to press for fairness, you rewrite what power and justice really look like. Now, 2 years out from the moment Monica calmly placed her card on that polished front desk, the truth is plain. Discrimination has not vanished from high-end hotels and swanky restaurants across the United States, but the rules of the game feel different. These days, it is not unusual to walk into the Four Seasons in Los Angeles or a private club in Boston and see people from all backgrounds enjoying the same level of service. Companies aren't suddenly kind out of pure goodwill. Shareholders and managers have seen what happens when word gets out about poor treatment. The Atlanta incident is no longer just a news story. It is a full chapter in corporate training manuals, a go-to case study for managers talking about what not to do if they care about profit and reputation. Meanwhile, Monica is still with Continental Partners, quietly doing what she always has, studying where money should go and who deserves a shot. Her workspace is relaxed. There are no glass trophies, plaques, or brag boards. Instead, she has an old black and white photo of her grandmother on her desk, capturing a woman who once walked hotel hallways as staff, never as a guest. Monica looks at that photo every morning. It reminds her that while social media can make a moment famous, the real measure of progress lies in changing everyday habits and systems. She knows that major shifts often start with someone simply refusing to be invisible, insisting on being seen and heard, not just for themselves, but for everyone who comes after.